Right, back with a Auburn football video, and this is my first one doing with an actual camera, my iPhone camera. I like to move around a lot in the video, so it's kind of weird doing this on a phone versus a computer. But I just wanted the camera to be a little bit better, so we'll see how this goes. Anyway, pretty much another burner game, a term I like to use quite frequently. A game that has no recognizable value to the dominant team. And there's not, as such, there's not really much takeaways to be had. But I feel there's a few that could be issues that are more pressing when we play real teams that really have football programs and not Kent State. So first one, also I'm doing this like a whole day later, so I'm gonna be a little bit less pessimistic than I would be doing afterwards. But stay with me. So first one, Joey Gatewood needs to start. I feel like this should be self-evident at this point. I went to the game, and when you go to the game, there's certain things that you can see a little bit more vividly that people, I wouldn't say it's even easier. It might be less easy, honestly. But a lot of people who watch games on TV tend to, I don't know, not pay attention to little things as much. And also, they're restricted where the camera is looking at, however the camera is angled, however it's zoomed in. But one thing that I don't see a lot of people talking about, and maybe because they watch it on TV, is that not Joe, Bo's touch, his ball placement, is still not good. Like people are making these excuses like, well, he didn't overthrow this one guy in the end zone, or he didn't underthrow it to another guy that ended up getting dropped. His stats would have been a little cleaner. But the fact of the matter is, the Hastings drop, that was bad ball placement. The J.J. Wilson touchdown that was missed, that's bad ball placement. He had a couple other bad ball placements. It was a deep throw that he missed because he tried to force it. As I saw online, it was forced off his front foot. He didn't look good at all, ball placement wise. His only good people use a flea flicker as evidence of his good throw, but like I mean, it's a flea flicker. Dude was open for like 23, 25 yards. I mean, like what? So I mean, all in consider, I thought Bo was decent running the ball. I don't mean like he's good in the sense that like you're gonna run him like Aaron Rodgers, where like if it's an open bootleg or open read option, or design QB keeper that looks like a read option, that's where you're gonna use him a lot. But with him not looking good throwing the ball, and Joey I try to look this word up. I don't know if it's a thing. Evidentially, is that a word? Uh, if it's not, evidently, this guy Joey is a better runner. It just looks more natural. The team or the program at least trusts him to run the ball more off the read option, the pseudo read option, I like to call it. So I mean, like Joey can't be any worse placing the ball unless he just can't hit the receiver. And from what I could see in the spring game, he wasn't. If you say he was better, worse throwing the ball, it wasn't by much. He seems to have a cannon that can hit 60, 70 yards. If Bo, like from what I gather, Bo is better at area throwing the ball at is between short to maybe middle, and he hasn't looked good throwing the ball short to middle. So I mean, I don't know what advantage he has over Joey at this point, other than having started the first game and having went from being god awful to not god awful against a god awful secondary. Oregon had a horrible secondary last year, and Bo absolutely unable to hit against it until the very end of the game. And now it's like this guy's Teflon that shouldn't ever be benched again, or Joey shouldn't be given a real chance to start. I don't get that. But anyway, second takeaway, secondary is horrible. Um, I think it'll be exposed against not against A and M because I don't think Kellen Mond is that nice throwing the ball, but against LSU, I could see them having a field day. Florida maybe Kyle Trask. I don't think he's that nice throwing the ball. I don't think that Kentucky had any kind of how should I say any kind of log, any film on him, so they didn't really know what he could do or what couldn't do. Felipe Franks obviously can't throw a football, but I mean, Florida definitely has receivers that burn our cornerbacks in the hill, but I don't know if they will be using that. But yeah, this is another week where it's saying they have against Tulane. Guys routinely were able to get separation at the point of contact. When it's time to go up for the ball and get it, they could make the first, like, they could make 3, 4 feet of separation at that point. They even won some of the contested balls, 1-on-1, 50-50 balls too. Uh, and there was a couple that Justin McMillan had that guys dropped. There was a couple that he couldn't see, and I believe that Kent State got closer to displaying some of those because the Crum guy, Dustin Crum, I believe it was, he had a field day in the beginning, but obviously like their offensive line is like 250 pounds across the board just about. So they just wore down on them from our defensive line, worn down their offensive line, and they eventually got to him more often. But I mean, there was some horrible like, and it was like consistent. Like they couldn't listen. If we can't defend screens against a team that like we should be able to out athlete, when we started seeing these screens against LSU, who's going to run them, or against Alabama, who's going to run them, what are we supposed to do? Like we adjusted because we just were faster and more fit to play, but against a team that's more fit than our defense, I don't know what we're going to do in that regard. And they had no run game to supplement the screen. That's the crazy thing about it. If once we start seeing running backs that can also catch and run the ball, and offensive lines that can block for them in that regard, you're not going to be able to defend the threat. Like we're just defending. Okay, either it's going to be a long pass or it's going to be a short pass. With them, with LSU for example, they're going to be defending the reverse. You're going to be defending the tunnel screen or the offensive line coming out to block a traditional screen like see on man or something like that, you know. Or you have to defend a quarterback run, which Crum didn't really do that very much. There's a lot more dimensions that go into that this team couldn't display. Oregon also had success in screens. They just stopped doing them. The only reason we stopped Oregon as far as their passing attack was because they just like took instead of we the defense bending to their will, they bent to ours and just started doing sneak and dumps and did nothing to really stretch the field anymore towards the second half of that game, which is kind of weird. But yeah, I don't see the teams we're about to play doing that. Yeah, secondary guys has to get a lot better. They are very not good so far. Running back and receiver depth can be better. So in doing and saying this, I believe that Shivers is good. I believe that Cam Martin, when he like just needs to go upfield, not really do too much, you know, reading the holes and juking and all that. I think he's good. And I think Booby Whitlow is hated on for all the wrong reasons. He's not a perfect back, but I mean, like people treat him like he's garbage. I don't understand why. He's probably a top 5 running back in the league, and in this league, in the SEC. And he has to play behind maybe one of the worst offensive lines in the SEC. So it's like I feel like you should get bonus like brownie points for that, you know. But I think in saying the running back depth needs to be better. I think touches need to be divvied out better. And I know that they were against Kent State, but that doesn't mean anything because it was Kent State. I think against SEC play, it's partly because you see a lot of carries burnt between you get a big play and Gus hurries up to the line and runs up the middle for negative 27 yards every time. It's partly because of that we see so many running backs getting fed repeatedly because Gus doesn't believe in subbing out running backs after a big play. He doesn't do it ever, pretty much. So we won't see that more than likely. But if we could just see after you waste that first down, put in a new running back and let him finish out 2, 3, 4 plays a pop. Because the way Gus uses running backs, he shoehorns them into roles. So if you see Shivers come in, you know it's going to be a pass to a flat. You know it's going to be a speed sweep. If you would use him like you used him last night to where it was in the middle, like running backs are able to do, but not necessarily pulling the guards, maybe a little bit off guard, like between the left guard, left tackle instead of like left guard, center because it's not your strong point. Between guard, any of the guards in the center, none of those are your strong points. But between the tackle and guard, maybe that's a little bit more your style. That'd be nice. They're north and south guys, Shivers and Cam Martin. And then once you get DJ Williams in the way of things, he'd be nice too, I'm sure. But yeah, I think we just use running backs more creatively. And as far as the receivers, I like the receivers. They have to deal with a lot between Bo's bad ball placement. Um, but I still like them. I mean, they did good. Sal Cannella had a good tough catch. If he caught in stride, probably been a touchdown. Um, Stove is looking like a wide receiver one out here. He's really taking the Ryan Davis role. I feel like. Um, Will Hastings, he's doing pretty good himself. Who else? Who else? JJ Wilson would like as advertised. You'd like him to get more touches. And then I know Hill and guy is number 14. I don't know his name, but it's the first time I saw him. He lined out wide. Might be a new cat. I don't know who he was, but he looked like he was fast. So him and Matthew Hill, they could probably get more touches. Um, but I think it's more of a thing that we don't really even know like what is Bo's best side of the field to throw to. These are things like a coach is supposed to figure out by now, but unfortunately our coach is struggling with that concept. Um, but yeah, it'd be nice to have it down to a T where is Bo's preferred place to throw to, and then let's find receivers that fit those niches. So when I say the receiver definitely better, I just mean that we could have a specialized better. We could know who does what the best. And number four, I'm willing to look over this and kind of revert it because I want to I got more evidence before after time. Uh, Derek Brown. Originally, I said if Derek Brown's out for a extended period of time, it'd be bad for the defense. I don't know. I think the defensive line isn't even without him. I don't think it's like necessarily bad or even decent. I think it's a good defensive line all considered. However, we don't complete a lot of sacks. We did last night, but typically we don't complete a lot of sacks. And I do think that even the pressure we get, 'cause we do get a lot of pressure, we just don't get a lot of sacks. I think the pressure we get would be substantially lessened without Derrick Brown eating up two um, uh, offensive linemen every possession, just about every possession. And I think that it'd be very hard for us against a decent offensive line, especially one that has good feet that can like because we don't have a lot of speed. So if the guys have a lot of power behind them, they can just like basically stalemate us. I don't think we're gonna be able to get because we don't have any edge rushers. So if it's just 1-on-1 all day, I don't know how we will get pressure. Essentially, that's something I fail to see as it is now. I still don't, I won't bear the defensive line. 'Cause I don't. I mean, they're the strongest unit on the defense, probably more than likely. So I can't say that they're unable to do their job. I really can't say that until I see it. But I do feel like without Derrick Brown, it is going to be tough for them to complete sacks, even tougher than it is now for them to complete sacks. So I hope they have. And then we had one of our few edge rushers that we were depending on. He got hurt, so that's kind of bad. But yeah, I don't know. I still think that even all these things considered, we still could beat like A&M pretty convincingly, maybe like 7 to 10 points, I would say, because even with Derek Brown out, who I believe probably could play some snaps, against A&M, I believe that the defensive line is good enough to emulate some of what Clemson did. Because Clemson, all they did was pretty much just blow up the spot against killing Mon every play. A lot of like 5, 6 man rushes and just made him uncomfortable the entire game. We could do that too. I mean, our linebackers are great. Uh, all three of them, they're great. So I think I saw it on AU Family Forum online. If they ran Owen Papo at Buck against them, they I think it'd kill A&M. If they ran Papo at Buck, it'd be over with. It'd be done. It'd be done, done. So maybe that's a suggestion. I don't know how I feel about the running game. I'm not convinced. I think Joey the one thing Joey has over Bo, and this is because I say this is advantage because of like what Gus's system revolves around, is that he alleviates the pressure for the running backs so much because a lot of this diverts to him. So against A&M, whose main attribute is being a tough front seven, their secondary is kind of pie, but their front seven is nice. I think you'd like to have Joey out there quite often to alleviate some of that offensive line and running back pressure. But I don't know if Gus will use him like he should. So we'll see. But hope you all enjoyed the video. Peace.